Hello everybody, Hellcracks here, and welcome to episode 22 of Thoughts from a Dystopian World. And today we're going to be talking about the Avion Strike Bomber. Yes, the Strike Bomber is a small little aircraft that sort of has some capabilities. Alright, comes in at 25 points. The Avion Strike Bomber is a kind of an interesting little thing. It only carries around a bomb bay on this version. And it has a defensive crew. So it means that if you're going to try to do an assault across or something with it, you only hit on a 5. And if they're defending, they only hit on a 4. 4 plus. So that's not bad. You know, they only have one guys, so that really doesn't matter, so they're not really going to probably do it, but hey, they have an option that they could. Alright, so it's a small aerial low-level flying model. It has a 4-inch minimum movement, so it has to move 4 inches before it can make its first 45-degree turn, and its turn limit after that is 0, so every time you go make your one turn, you can make another one. So it's pretty maneuverable. Can get around and line itself up on a target and unleash its bombs on somebody, which isn't good, not bad, or is good, not bad. It's a squadron size of 2 to 5, so you're going to be paying at least 50 to 125 points for a squadron size of 2 to 5. And I guess if you're going to have them, you might as well bring in 5. Because, hey, you know, more is better in this case here. And we'll talk about why. Alright, it has a DR and a CR of 4 and 5. So it's just like a frigate in the game. So basically you have a flying frigate. It has a 12-inch movement, which isn't bad. So you can close 1.5 range bands a turn. So you can get in there pretty good, running fast. Has 2 hull points, so it's not going to worry about blowing up, but it doesn't take much to take them out either. So you have to watch what you're doing with them and see what targets you're going after. It has 1 assault point, like we talked about, and they hit on a 4 to 5. So defend on a 4, attack on a 5. So it's not really something that you want to use for offensive capabilities, but you do have an option to do it. It has 2 anti-aircraft dice, so it's not going to write home about by itself, but in a squadron of 5, it sort of adds up. So, yeah, that's one thing to think about. The placeholder CC, well, that's, like I said, having a flyer like this, what is the purpose of the concussion charges? I don't know. And if it does ram into something, it has 1 die. Yeah, so don't run into something, because it's pretty much like having a tinfoil thing run into something that's solid, like a 6-inch steel. So odds are, nah, you're not going to do anything to it. Now, the weapon systems on board is a bomb bay tertiary weapon. So its arc is 2 inches, has a 306-degree arc. So anything that as you fly over that has a 2-inch, you know, it's like, all right, as soon as I go over top you, I'm going to drop here. Drop the bombs. So it can get the job done. So if you have land or sea targets, you can drop your bombs on them. So it's pretty much a multiple purpose type light bomber. Now, your model sign rules are evasive maneuvers, so if you try to dive or go up, you have a +1 to your maneuver die, so it is possible to, better chance of doing it. You have Hunter, which is surface and submerged, so if you have, it's kind of like a, I like to look at it as if you have somebody that's running around with lots of submarines. You can hammer them pretty hard with these guys with your indiscriminate attacks. And your surface targets, so your indiscriminate attack on them will hit on a 4+. So surface means anybody that's on the ground. So if you're flying over land, they're on the ground, so that's surface. And if they are there is a few burrowing models in the game, so if they're burrowed under the ground while you fly over top of them, you do have the capability of hitting them while they're underground too, or underwater. So it works both ways. That's one thing that's really nice about these guys. They can do a good job of hammering surface targets. Momentum, that means they have to move the minimum move, and if you lose your engines, well, they crash and burn. Now, it is a small target, so any type of capital ship or model of any of that nature has a plus to hitting them, so or you could say it is a minus to their die. So basically, you normally hit on a 4+. Against these guys, you hit on a 5+. So it makes it a little harder for the surface or capital vehicles or ships to hit these guys. So that's their bonus in the game. That's what I like about him. It's kind of like flying frigates. All right, now the one thing that really is good about them is pack tactics bombs. That's their only weapons, so pack tactics. So let's just talk about the weapon systems now, which is a tertiary bomb into the first range band of 2 inches, 3 dice. All right, so if you have a squadron of 5 and they happen to fly over somebody, you're gonna hammer them pretty good with the bombs. So that's the one thing you're going to be looking at is 3 dice, and then you have 4 other bombers that can drop their bombs also at the same time. So you're looking at 4 times 3 is 12. Half that is 6, so 9 dice. All right, so there's your minimum. When you fly over with a squadron of 5, you're going to hit them with 9 dice. And it's like, oh, that's not bad, not great. But you have 4 other models from the initial one, so that's 4 more dice. So you're going to be throwing 13 dice at somebody that hits on a 4+ if it's a surface or submerged target. So yeah, that's pretty good. And the odds are you're going to be with 13. You probably roll a couple 6s in there because you got a 1 in 6 chance with each one to roll a 6. So you probably have a couple 6s, and in half of those, what's left over will have at least 1 hit. So yeah, you're looking at probably 8 or 9 roughly on an average. It's probably for the amount of hits you're going to do. So any type of ship that's on the surface, even if it's frigates or destroyers, are going to be a hurting unit. They're going to be on, oh boy, this is not the day I like. So it's really good for hammering lighter targets. And which brings us up to kind of what kind of tactics you like to use with these guys. If I see a squadron of, let's say, frigates, the odds are you may not get them all under 1 template, so you might have to spread them out into 2 templates. So you might have 2 bombers on one group of ships and then 3 bombers on the other. So you might, it's going to be one of those deals where you're going to be throwing about 6 to 8 dice per bomb load at a aerial target to our area target when it comes to like a frigate squadron, because they can be spread out pretty good, or a corvette squadron or something of that nature. Now, if it's a capital ship, if you hit a cruiser squadron, you might be able to get 2 of them under 1 template and then just bomb the heck out of them and have them enjoy a very bad day. And if it's, say, a battle cruiser or a battleship or a dreadnought of that nature, well, you can hit them pretty hard and do some good damage to them. Probably get a CR out of the deal. And maybe do some good damage. Hopefully, in this case though, you probably don't want to get that magazine explosion, because if they do explode, the odds are that your entire squadron is going to be obliterated as they fly over. So there you go. So that's something to think about when you do that. So that's one way you can use them. Typically, as maneuver as they are, it doesn't really matter where you throw them on the battlefield, because after they do their initial 4-inch move, you can maneuver them pretty good to line up on your target, keep them in a tight formation, and fly over. Because you got to remember, when you're dropping your bombs, it's a 2-inch radius around each one, so they have to be within range of each other to link up their bombs when they drop them. So yeah, that's one of the things. If you have a large area target, the odds are you may not get, like I said, you may not get them all under one template, so you might have to drop 2 templates, which isn't bad. You're kind of spreading the love around. But typically, these are the guys that it's about this. If you're really lucky, you might get the second turn use out of them, but it's typically going to be the third turn before you even start getting any use out of them, unless it's a land battle. Then you might be able to. But even then, my experience is it's going to take probably to the third turn before they even get any use. And if you have any type of aerial hunters out there on the other side, they may get shot down before they even get in range. So which kind of brings us up to, if you have a large game where you got the points to play with, bring in the Avion Strike Bomber. But if you don't, you may be better, if you're playing a naval game, you're probably better off throwing the points into another squadron of frigates or even some corvettes. But if you have the points to play with, hey, bring them in. They're not a bad little addition to the game. It kind of keeps their opponent on their toes. And I've kind of played around with it a little bit, is maybe it's the hold them back a little bit, kind of use their minimum range movement until you get some targets that are a little closer. That's why I said it's usually the third turn. And then when you see your opponent has moved some stuff into range, fly them in there and drop your load on top of them and have them a nice Bombay day. All right, so that's it. That's the Avion Strike Bomber in a nutshell. It's a little, kind of a cute little bomber, but, sometimes you may not use it, and sometimes you may. Depends on the circumstance or how you like to use them. All right, hope you guys have a good one, and we'll talk with you later. Hellcrakes out.